With Velocity, data is stored in the database, allowing us to handle millions of records. However, importing all this data into a workbook is not advisable. When Excel contains many records, it becomes challenging for users to focus on what they need. In such cases, users typically apply filters to reduce the number of visible rows. However, with many formulas in the workbook, filtering can become slow. Using formulas like SUMIF, COUNTIF, SUMPRODUCT, VLOOKUP, and HLOOKUP causes Excel to recalculate every time a filter is applied or a value is entered. What if we could apply these filters during the data import process? This approach would allow users to work on a subset of manageable data within the workbook, known as a work slice. Velocity offers the ability to work with a smaller subset of data, referred to as work slice, where the user can bring only the data that they want to work with into their workbook. Once the user finishes working with this data, they can submit it to the database and retrieve another work slice. This concept allows users to dynamically define filters or criteria for data retrieval. The columns users want to query or filter must be defined in another cuboid. Users can then supply values and retrieve data based on those values. Let's explore how we configure Velocity to do so. We will set up dynamic download for the transactions cuboid and the column that we will use to filter or restrict the data on its region. First, we need to set up the query cuboid. We do that by selecting Add New from the application sheet menu. Once the sheet has been added, let's add the region column and provide a value, say LATAM, followed by link exporting the cuboid to our application environment by navigating through Neighborhood Hierarchy, selecting the collaboration, then selecting the whiteboard, and entering a name for the cuboid, followed by clicking on Link Export. Click Yes to confirm the selected range. Click OK on the informational message. Click on Yes to use the default format. Our query cuboid is ready. Let's move the Home Page tab to Before Transactions cuboid. And then let's add a drop-down so that the users can pick the region rather than type it in. We will use a previously defined named range DDL regions for the list. Once the drop-down is established, we will generate the format and assign it to the cuboid. Now, let us set up the relationship between our filter cuboid and the transactions cuboid. This is done from the Server Actions section. Click on Advance and select Set Cuboid Links, followed by selecting the transactions cuboid and then add Edit Link. A dialog to configure the link relation pops up. On the left is our home page cuboid. Select region from there and click on Set Value Column Link. Our target cuboid is on the right-hand side with all the fields listed. We will select region from here too, and then click on Select Key Columns Link on the bottom of the page. Let's give this relation a name, say Home Page-Transactions. Click on Save to save the configuration. We can decide whether the menu item to download will be on row or cell. Let's keep it at the row level and click on Add Edit right-click menu. Let's give menu hierarchy a name, Transaction for now, and click on OK. The next dialog box asks for the name of the menu item. Let's leave it as is and click on OK. The configuration is saved now. We can close the cuboid link relation settings. When we created our home page cuboid, we did not create the right-click menus. These are needed to show the menu item to download the transactions cuboid. Let's generate the right-click menu and then edit them to remove the unwanted items. For our home page, we will not need any of the menu items needed. We can remove them one by one or use the selection box on the top to select all and then deselect all. We can now save and close the dialog box. To test the menu item, click on the row menu, select Boardwalk, then click on Transactions menu group, and we see the transaction menu item. If we want to change the menu group transactions to something else, perhaps download, then we can edit the configuration and change it. Next, We need to set the transactions cuboid as on demand and then add the home page to our template manifest. We can set the transaction cuboid to on demand by navigating to the transaction cuboid and then select Advance, followed by Set Cuboid as on demand. A message requesting confirmation to set cuboid as on demand shows up. Click on Yes to continue. The template manifest is brought in. Value of download type changed to on demand. Manifest cuboid submitted and unlinked. To edit the template manifest, we go to the Template Manifest menu and select Edit Existing. The template manifest is brought in. Metadata for the same created. Let's apply the default format to the data and then resize the columns for better visibility. Let us also remove the word table from cell A8. Since we want to add a row for homepage, let's create the default right-click menu. Then make a copy of the first row below it, then change the required values. It would be easier if we could see the cuboid sheet names, so let's move Manifest Sheet to the extreme left. Now enter the name of the worksheet in cell C3 as it shows in the workbook. Then we will change the cuboid name in cell G3 to the actual cuboid name, which can be found from the View Metadata menu. We will change the download type for the home page to be default. We also notice that the download type for the transactions cuboid is on demand, which we had done earlier. These changes now need to be submitted to the server. We had to add the home page to the manifest to ensure that when users download from the portal, they will see the home page. Since the manifest does not stay in the workbook, we need to unlink it. Notice that the right-click menus that we had configured for the manifest have been removed too. Now that we have set up our dynamic download, let's test it. Right-click on the row menu followed by Boardwalk, then Transactions group, and click on Transactions. The data in the transaction data table is removed completely and data for Latin America or LATAM region will be brought into the workbook, with the filter being applied on the database side. This becomes the user's work slice for the session. Notice the region only has LATAM values. Once the user is done working with this work slice, they may decide to work on another work slice, this time perhaps with the region EMEA. They will then follow the same process of dynamically downloading the new dataset, in which the data for LATAM will be completely removed from the transactions data and data for the region EMEA is brought in. This now becomes the user's work slice. Dynamic download or on-demand download allows developers to set up columns that can be used for filtering data while bringing it from the server to the worksheet. It can be set up on multiple columns for more precise data filtering. It can also be configured to filter multiple cuboids using the same source filters or cuboid. Dynamic download makes it easier for users to work with large datasets by bringing in manageable data into their workbook, referred to as their work slice, based on the criteria that they are comfortable with. Next, we will understand what dependent cuboids are, when to use them, and how to configure them in Velocity.